I was 8 years old when I first liked the guy. I'm not sure I really understood what I was feeling. I just knew it felt good. I wanted him to be my only friend. Class was fun because he was there. I looked forward to going to school because of him. Over time, I've come to understand that what I felt is what is being described now as crushing at someone. I've had other crushes. People I imagined my life with, being in different talking stages or situationships, as you would like to call it. And for someone who is hopelessly romantic and has always desired a relationship, at some point, I felt like I wasn't destined to find love. Everyone I met just felt like the wrong piece of my love puzzle. And then one day, I met him. He was the one for as long as the relationship lasted. First 7 months was perfect, but by the 8th month we started fighting. We fought over everything. The big, the small, everything almost always started and ended with a fight. We dragged it until it got to a year because apparently the length of our relationship was more important than the quality. To be honest, that was one thing that kept me going. If we've gotten to 10 months, then we can do 11, and that means we can do 12. But sadly, a few days after our 1-year anniversary, the band that held us together got too weak, and then we broke up. And suddenly, he was no longer the one. I know most people can relate to my experience. You meet someone, fall in love with the person. 6 months to a year, the relationship just fizzles out. Now, there's so many reasons a relationship can end, but it's almost always centered around these 3 things. 1, lack of effective communication and listening. There's always someone who is either under-communicating or over-communicating, and there's definitely always someone who is not listening. 2, lack of accountability. 2 people who are not willing to take responsibility for their actions, or 1 person who thinks they're just never wrong. And then 3, there is just not enough forgiveness. Because regardless of the kind of relationship you find yourself in, if you want it to last, then you need to be able to offer forgiveness ahead of time, because sometimes you get hurt unintentionally. Now, about communication. If you don't tell someone how to love you, if you don't teach somebody how to love you, then don't get upset if they don't love you properly. I know you've seen online, if they wanted to, they would, or if he wanted to, he would. Well, sometimes, to be honest, they want to. They would love to, but they just don't know what to do. And that's why it's called a relationship. 2 people relating with each other and setting their expectations. 2 people learning about each other. There are things you shouldn't teach somebody, obviously, because if someone has decided to be in a relationship with you, actively pursued you, made you see reasons why you guys belong to each other, that person is probably in love with you, and there are things you don't teach people in love. It's supposed to happen naturally. You can't teach someone how to call you. You can't teach somebody how to message, how to buy gifts. These things are natural. There's really nothing like, I'm not the calling type. You're just not in love with the person, because rules do not exist when you love somebody. Rules are for people who are not in love. So these are not the things I'm talking about. I'm talking about gestures that are very specific to you. You need to learn how to communicate that. Let me tell you something. Anybody who is perfect in this relationship thing is only perfect because they have experience. For example, if you tell your partner you are having severe menstrual cramps here and he buys you food or maybe period care package just to make life bearable for you, you think that's inbuilt. You think him downloading your Flow app just to track your cycle is inbuilt. It's not. It's either because his ex taught him that, or he's friends with people doing that, or he saw it online. Regardless, he has experience from somewhere. Your partner is probably perfect because there's an ex who taught him everything he knows now. There's an ex he wasn't perfect for, and now you are reaping the fruits of their labor. So if you want something, open your mouth and say it. Sometimes the things they've learned in their previous relationships might be the things you dislike. And he might keep doing it because he feels that's what all girls want. So just open your mouth and talk. Tell them what you want from them, how you want to be loved, how you want to be treated. Let it be that you told them and they were not okay with it, instead of you getting worked up because of something specific to you that you just expect them to know. It doesn't work that way. I believe that about 95%, don't quote me on this, but about 95% of breakups would not have happened if the 2 people involved had just learned how to communicate properly, especially during conflict. People think communication is just speaking or talking, but it's more than that. There is under communication and over communication. Under communication, when you are not saying exactly what's bothering you, you're saying just enough so there'll be no issue. But you're already fighting. You might as well just be honest. I understand you think not laying it all out is so that there will be peace, but whose peace? Because it's clearly not yours. This is the reason people keep fighting every 2 days. You're not saying what's bothering you. You're not saying how you're feeling. You're not saying how their words or action impacted you. You're just bottling it up. Now you're mad about dirty dishes, but those plates are not the problem. It's something that happened 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago that your partner thought it was settled. So don't under-communicate. It's not healthy. And then there is over-communication. When you say every single thing that comes to mind. When you express every single feeling. The feelings are valid, but not all of them needs to be expressed. That's why regulation is needed. Two people in a relationship should learn regulation so they don't under-communicate or over-communicate. See, trust me, it's hard because I fall on the over-communication spectrum. If it's bothering me right now, then it needs to be said right now with the intensity I wish it's bothering me. But I found out if I give myself a few minutes and think through what happened, if I just give myself a little time to understand why I felt what I felt, to name my feelings, to know exactly what triggered me, I'm able to communicate better. My tone, my words, everything is just better. So whatever you have to say, it's important, but not that important. Being calm is more important. Your relationship is important. So just, wait it out. Speaking of tone and words, these are the things that can escalate or de-escalate any kind of conflict. Your tone is very important. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. Some people are very rude. You just shout for no reason. And when someone talks to you about it, your response will be, this is just the way I am. I cannot change it. Well, the way you talk is going to put you in trouble. The way you talk will close so many doors for you. The way you talk will end your relationship and you need to change. You don't have to be rude. You can actually be a nice person. You meet someone for the first time, they don't know you from Adam, but they're already talking like you stole their phone. It's not good. It's an ugly behavior. And change, please, or lock yourself inside. Outside is already too expensive to now be dealing with people that are rude. Now, back to our relationship. You are upset. It takes a lot of constraint and self-control to not be rude in that moment. And you know this, so you can have that conversation later when you are calm. Both of you should set boundaries for conflict. At no point will we raise our voice at each other. And if in the course of that conversation, there's a potential for that to happen, we will pause and reconvene. Again, your feelings are valid, very valid, but at what cost? Your feelings are valid, but not right now. With words here, when you're upset, it's very difficult for you to find the right things to say. But do you know you can be calm as you say the worst things? You can be calm, but your words can send your partner to therapy. Your words can lower their self-esteem. Your words can escalate the fight. So in order for us to avoid this kind of scenario, let's have a bank of words and phrases we will never use during a disagreement. Now, top of the list is you always do this or you never do this. Once you say you always or you never, they stop listening to what you're saying. And they start thinking about a time they did not always just to defend themselves. And that conversation, my dear, is going nowhere. So just focus on what happened without generalizing, just to avoid putting your partner in defense mood. Number 2, it's not that serious or you are overreacting. The question now is, it's not that serious to who? I'm the one that's upset. I'm not always upset 24/7. So if this particular incident has provoked this kind of emotional response, then it's not that serious to who? Is that serious to me if I'm reacting this way? Sometimes the word is not even serious. They're literally just reacting to what you did or said. So don't dismiss or disregard their feelings. In summary, regardless of your intentions, once you say it's not that serious, it becomes that serious because it's no longer about what happened. It's now about their feelings that you think is irrational. So do yourself a favor and just avoid this phrase. Even if you think they're exaggerating, don't say it. Don't say it. Number 3, I'm done talking. Residence general among the nation. This is men's specialty. I'm not saying women don't do it, but you see men. I say this always. Men think they're so logical and women are just so emotional. So it's their place to not allow any conflict to drag. But see, I'm not saying you guys are not logical. No. I'm saying if a woman is being emotional, your logical viewpoint at that moment is just unnecessary. You cannot respond to emotions with logic, and that's where men get it wrong. I'm done talking is you literally shutting her up. It's insulting, especially in the middle of a conversation. It feels like you're only thinking about yourself. and she's probably still on that matter because she's not fine yet or she has not gotten enough explanation. I'm done talking is you saying your partner's feelings are not that important. Instead, try something like, I don't think we're moving forward with this conversation. Can we stop for now and come back to it later? Notice the we in the statement instead of the I that was previously used. This sounds like we are together instead of making her feel like she's a nuisance. And if you say, can we come back to it later? Please go back to it because she's waiting for that later. Please go back to it. The next is name calling. There's literally nothing to elaborate here. That's just unacceptable. If there is name calling, that's emotional abuse that might turn physical. Please don't stay to find out. Leave while you are still alive, please. Next is the whole comparison. You sound just like my ex. Not the time. There's never a good time to bring up your ex. And in the middle of a disagreement, that's suicide mission. If they sound like your ex, then you are the problem, because why do you keep getting into relationships with this kind of people? Why are you with them if they sound like your ex? You are the problem, so don't say it. Don't say it. Now, the second comparison is you are just like your mom or dad, or you are just like my mom or dad. Now, imagine you have a partner that's from a dysfunctional family. She has told you everything, how her family is. Then, in the middle of a disagreement, you now say, you're just like your mom or dad. Can you go lower than that? Like, she literally confided in you, or he confided in you that this is the way my family is and I don't want to be like this. And now you're saying I look exactly or I sound exactly like the people I'm running away from. Don't. Please don't. Now, I'm not saying you cannot bring it up later. You can. But in that moment, don't. Don't. It's a side mission. Don't. The next comparison is, why can't you be more like? Again, comparison at any point is bad. Comparison during a disagreement is terrible. You're just making the person feel inadequate, and that will create resentment and insecurities. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. If you like the other person so much, then just go and be with the person. Don't compare your partner with that person. Just go and be with the person so that there will be peace. The next thing not to say is, if you love me, you would. See, I know you think this is a very valid thing to say. I know you think once you put your love on the table, they will immediately melt and do whatever you want. And to be honest here, they should. Honestly, they should. With romantic relationships, I've come to realize there's really nothing so difficult. If you can get past your pride and your ego, then all is settled. But another word for this is emotional blackmail. They don't need to agree with you. They can love you without agreeing with you. And them changing their minds because of this statement is borderline manipulative. It shifts from the problem to the relationship. You're kind of questioning and doubting their love for you, and well, that can create a lot of unexplained insecurities. This is also the same thing with saying, if you don't do this, I'll leave. See, say this only when you're certain you would leave, because, okay, all the best. The next thing not to say is, fine, you win. It's not about who wins or loses. It's about the problem. You want to have a conversation, understand each other's perspective so you can find a solution. If you say you win, it suddenly feels like you were not listening all along and this was just a competition. Don't say it. It's not worth it. Don't. Right after this is whatever. Whatever. How? Why? From where to where? It's very dismissing, especially if the other person is genuinely interested in fixing whatever is going on. Please don't say it. It's not worth it. Don't. The next one is women's specialty. What is wrong with you? Nothing. Why are you upset? Nothing. Then why are you quiet? Nothing. See, I know men can do this, but women, presidents general. I know you want to be babied. I pray you get a man that's going to baby you, but trust me, it is very, very frustrating, especially when they're genuinely trying to help. If you don't want to talk, just let them know instead of just frustrating them. That's not fair. If you're not ready to speak, let them know instead of just answering nothing, when obviously, clearly something is wrong with you. Don't do it. And finally, that's just like you. What is just like me? What do you mean by that's just like me? See, trust me, if I wanted to become a better person, once you say that's just like me, I'll probably make sure that you are right. I mean, you've not offered me a blank page. You are judging me based on something I did before. So if you say that's just like me, then that makes the two of us. Because you said or did something before and I reacted a certain way and I'm reacting the same way because you're doing the same thing. That's probably a very toxic approach, but no, don't say it. That's just like, What do you mean by that? don't say it. If we don't want this to turn into something bigger than what it is already, then don't say it. These are the common phrases that people should just avoid during conflict so it doesn't go from 10 to 100. And in our next video, we'll be talking about how you can become a better listener and the phrases that you can use to de-escalate any kind of conflict. With that being said, my name is Emedion Francis and this is Dimensions of Gold. Please don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Bye.